Today on the Topping Show, leftists say that they already killed Charlie Kirk and that Donald Trump is next. A long display of a Mexican mannequin hanging mannequins with MAGA hats goes viral on social media. Representative Thomas Massie roasts Representative Clay Higgins, who is against the Epstein Petition. Koenigsegg said they want to have more attainable sports cars for the masses. And IcyBreeze, well, they have to recall their cooling fan because it might, burst into flames. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see our founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapters to come out to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends and your enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Koenigsegg saying they want a supercar for the masses and a more attainable supercar. Now, brought to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically one of the best writers over there, Anthony Allianz. And, well, for once, the automotive part of the podcast, I don't need to say visual disclaimer because, well, Koenigsegg's are, works of art. And which Anthony says, quote, Koenigsegg wants a sports car that's more attainable. They say that Koenigsegg has been thinking about increasing production volume and with that, making a sports car for the still wealthy masses. And you can see that glorious car right there. Let me get one of those on screen. They do look, they are really works of art on wheels. They are incredible. I just can't stop drilling over those vehicles. Now, they say, quote, part of the company's appeal is its exclusivity. There's no other brand quite like Koenigsegg, producing $1 million car that are basically works of art, as they equally as they are supercars. For now, the Swedish automaker's lineup remains out of reach for the most, but it may not always be the case. Christian von Koenigsegg, in a recent interview with Carbuzz, said that the company is thinking of making sports cars that are, quote, more attainable. So something far less expensive than the $3.4 million Jesco, for example. And he said, quote, we've been dabbling with the idea of maybe going up in volume, making simpler, more obtainable sports cars. They know that Koenigsegg has built its reputation on low-volume, high-end hypercars, and this approach has served the company well since its founding over 30 years ago. The company produces a few dozen cars per year, although the company did increase its production capacity in 2023 for the Jesco and the Jumeirah, tripling factory footprint. But Koenigsegg admitted that the publication that a high-volume sports car would be a big jump from where we are and a different animal than the low-volume production that the company currently has. He said, quote, we think we need to take it very much step by step and not to stumble, unquote. They say that if the car company wants to build a sports car in volume, it will need even more factory space and employees. Not only will the company have a higher demand to meet, but they'd also need to be very able to compete with similar obtainable options, whatever that might be. Obtainable, Koenigsegg might be a mid to high six-figure sports car that competes with a Ferrari or Lamborghini rather than Porsche. He, however, did not specify. The bespoke automaker has certainly seen engineering prowess and powertrains to create something truly special. Without Koenigsegg needing to direct resources toward an all-electric hypercar that no one wants, maybe it could deliver something for the masses of millionaires who missed out on the brand's more exclusive hypercars. And he says, then for the rest of us, we might be able to bid on some of the parts that end up on Copart.com, which is like eBay, but for cars, and is known for having a lot of fun salvage supercars throughout the years, especially. Now, it'll be interesting if they can pull this off, and it's going to be it's kind of like when a car company goes from making a prototype to the mass production. It is a gazillion times harder. That's what makes Tesla so unique in terms of they're actually a really successful automotive company in terms of mass volume of a product. I do wonder would it damage the brand of Koenigsegg if they were to have a $500,000 car or $600,000 car compared to the exclusivity of like they only make a couple per year. Even when I go to these car shows with my buddies every once in a while, I think I've seen one or two of these in like 5 to 6 years. Like it's one of the rarest cars on the road. There's something very unique and special about that. Ferrari's been making some mistakes lately in terms of, well, they IPO'd. So they're a publicly traded company now. They have to do high volume because to get more sales, do what's best for the shareholders. They're making SUVs and crossovers. And I would argue a lot of hybrids that no one wants to buy. But Ferrari in a way, has lost some of the throne in terms of exclusivity and the high-end luxury market. And granted, Ferraris don't come out with them. You could debate, well, these are handmade works of art. Ferrari is comparatively a higher volume company. But I do wonder, I don't think they could ever get to because again, Porsche is controlled by Volkswagen. That's the parent company of Volkswagen Auto Group, owns a lot of companies, including Porsche. And they benefit from, well, all the nice discount for the parts. Just like when you and I go to Costco, you get a price per unit, usually a discount if you buy a big bulk. That's especially true for a lot of these automobile companies where they buy a lot of the similar components, like, switching control modules, LCD screens, little pieces of plastic for the door buttons. There's a lot of the parts that they share because, again, they buy a whole bunch of them and get a great discount per unit, and that helps with the profitability of the product. I mean, Pagani and Koenigsegg, these companies are known for making, a couple cars per year, millions upon millions of dollars, and they really are true works of art. There's definitely a market there for someone who wants something that's more expensive and exclusive than a Lamborghini, a Porsche, or a Ferrari, but still doesn't want to spend, $2 to $3 million on one of these. So I think the market is there. Just how much do they want to gamble? Because a lot of these boutique companies, you see this especially in the aftermarket community or the modification community. So many of them, like Celine, they made their one great sports car, the Celine S7. But a lot of these companies, once they start to make the car, they overinvest, then they crumble. There's also more regulation when you actually have mass volume of vehicles being produced. So that's another thing I have to worry about as well. And I do wonder, will they overextend themselves? Again, they've been around for 3 decades. They got a solid foundation of what they've been doing. Do you think this would be best for the brand? And do you think the product would beat the competition at those price points? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have leftists saying that they already killed Charlie Kirk and that Donald Trump is next in a street interview. That's brought to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, in which she says, quote, "This insane leftist threatens to kill Trump after Charlie Kirk's assassination." You can see, then she tags all the 3 letter agencies, Cash Patel, Secret Service, FBI, which, yeah, I'm sure they'll do their job because they have a great track record of going above and beyond and prosecuting people who break the law. That's, yeah, not really. Not too much further ado.
What do you say?
Fuck Donald Trump.
Why do you say that?
Because he's racist and he's a pedophile.
But you got
Look it up.
you got 3 more years of Trump though.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying he's.
We already killed his friend.
Whoa.
The next one is Topping Show.
Oh. Wait, what's your name?
Next up, you're doing that weird ass shit.
What are you gonna do, buddy? Come here. You walk away, buddy.
What's up with you? You want to get your ass beat?
Why are you gonna do that?
Let's record
Get
this.
your camera up your ass or something?
No, I'm just filming to protect myself because you're out here threatening.
I have a gun license to protect myself. So what?
No, I'm saying you're threatening me, so I'm
Hey,
filming.
it's not no threat. It's a promise. That's why you got a fucked up face. You beat your ass so bad. Get 4 punches to death.
Democrat is mental illness.
More from those holler intellect.
Ha, ha, ha.
Sorry, what was he saying in the last part there?
Democrat is mental illness. Ha 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 ha. What do you say?
Yep. These interviews are getting more and more interesting. Now, again, will the FBI actually arrest this guy, take him in for questioning, see if he has a plot? I mean, he probably doesn't have a plot in terms of actually, taking someone's life. But it is kind of a big red flag when all these people are celebrating, oh yeah, Kirk's gone. That's a good thing. And yeah, I was going to say, I actually chose the perfect second to pause the video. He looks especially awkward and stupid there, which is saying something because it's coming from me. And it's pretty valid. Got about 1 million views and 20,000 likes. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Paul Zupa saying, quote, "He's going to jail," getting 208 likes. Conservative Alternative says, quote, "Sounds a little treasony." This picture of Cash Patel getting 85 likes, which, yeah, but again, they have a long track record of doing nothing. So we'll see. You have Ridiculous Takes saying, quote, "Hilariously, leftists are on other apps and are developing falsified conspiracy theories to explain away the oblivious left-wing motivations of recent events," gaining 3 likes. Honest Sinner simply has a screenshot of the guy looking weird. Wow, 759 likes. Fine is a picture of a leftist with a handgun labeled "cancel" and pointing at someone who's on the right. Guy slaps a pistol and points at the Democrat or the left guy and says "fascist" in response, getting 284 likes. Bean Genie says "hospitalize your local Antifa scumbag," getting 389 likes, which obviously pretty sure they got ratio, did they? No, a lot of people saying they take that meme. Which I recommend because that's exactly what leftists did in terms of saying punch a Nazi and punch your opponents, get physically violent. So I would recommend that. Kochi Lolo says, how much do you want to bet that he's not even here legally? He's got a screenshot from Fury of Brad Pitt pointing. He simply says, deport that guy. Getting 648 likes. Captain Could've says, just to be clear, he was armed. Be observant. And he's pointing to something bulky in the guy's pocket, getting 494 likes. Which, might be. Someone else says, nah, no, it wasn't. This other picture angle looks like a wallet, maybe. Then he simply said, or this guy responds saying, it's a phone, you retard, getting 60 likes. A lot of people saying phones. It actually looks smaller than the phone, looks like a wallet. The other pocket, his other pocket does look like a phone. That's more rectangular. John Casey says 3.5 years ago, sorry, here 3.5 years of Donald J. Trump. Then we got JD Vance 48 for 8 years. You have JD Vance in the old General Lee car, and 44 likes. Let's see. Adam says, LOL, Tony Montana, gained 31 likes. Gerald Price says, quote, if this true dude was a Republican under the Biden administration, they would have had half the FBI kicking down his door right now. Shake my head, gaining 288 likes. Which, I mean, yeah, they were very militant when they were in power. There's a father who's at a pro-life rally, simply praying outside an abortion clinic. And in response to him being there and defending his son, who's shoved first, well, the next day, or what was it, the following day after that, 6 SUVs with armed police showed up at the father's house and arrested him at gunpoint without a warrant. And the wife said, you have a warrant. They simply said, that's none of your concern. That was the how authoritarian they were when they were in power. Humanoid says, quote, he has no time to talk. It's off to TJ Maxx for another outfit, getting 44 likes. Let's see. Roscoe Smith says, quote, it's a gun in his right pocket. I really hope they find this guy before he unloads on someone in the street for no reason, getting 180 likes. Let's see. Crazy Sharp says, bro, 1973 called. It wants his clothes back, getting 52 likes. Common Sense Guy says, quote, this guy needs to have the next video of him in cuffs by the Secret Service, take his gun license away, and find his friends, getting 111 likes. New Mom says, deport him and his entire family, even if they're naturalized citizens or anchor babies, they all have to go back, getting 27 likes. Which, I don't know what nationality he is. Or where they would guess he isn't legal? I don't know. Urbante the Insidious says, I love how they slip and side with the assassins, getting 15 likes. Yeah, concerning. Let's see. James Correa says, quote, these people are insane, getting 6 likes. Sir Majesty says, lock his ass up, getting 17 likes. The left, Daniel Armstrong says, the left continues to prove that they are the violent ones. They were violent first, getting 9 likes. Max Cruz says, let's find this midget. He must be illegal, getting 12 likes. Thomas Lund said, it's not safe to be around here anymore. There's an army of radical leftists with Trump derangement syndrome, getting 39 likes. Which, yeah. Again, this guy's this bombastic on camera on the streets, saying how much he hates people, wants to cause violence. That one would think there'd be reprimands for that, or he might get in trouble. But again, I see a lot of Republicans get angry and write angry letters and shake their fingers. We'll see if anything happens to this guy, but I'm pretty pessimistic. But as always, let me know your thoughts and comments, because it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a long display of a Hispanic mannequin hanging MAGA mannequins going viral on social media in Texas. And this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. He says, quote, Houston, Texas, realize where we are. And on screen you see black Jeep. Well, I guess that's not important. But you see 2 or 3 coffins on the ground, some fake gallows, or it's not fake, it's well, I don't think it actually would work. Not very good structural engineering there. Very weak support arms. Shoddy craftsmanship as well as offensiveness. And it looks like, yeah, you got a mannequin with the Mexican flag. He's got a little poncho, and he's hanging 2 guys in MAGA hats that are wearing khakis, black long sleeves, or perhaps a tactical turtleneck, and they have MAGA hats. This is also credited to freedomnews.tv. And then they got barbed wire all around it. It looks like it's just on this person's front lawn. I apologize, they're just red hats. They're not official MAGA merchandise. However, I can't help but think you kind of get the point. This guy's just walking around. Is this supposed to be... Yeah, I was about to say, is this supposed to be a Halloween display? October, Halloween's getting close, but... I think they're also insinuating maybe they're feds, because they have what do you call it? They have a bunch of zip ties in their khaki pants, which are used by ICE agents, a lot of police departments, and AB technicians. Zip ties. They have a shoddy Mexican flag on top of a rusty pole. It always amazes me how many people move to the United States and continue to praise the crappy country they come from. Again, my family came here from Cuba. You'll never see a Cuban flag on our goddamn lawn. Because we came here, learned about American values, American history, learned English, and embraced the founding fathers and their ideals, and became tribute members of society. We wouldn't worship and be proud of a country that we left. It blows my mind. Mexico especially does this. You'll see all those... let's see here. Sorry, I thought there was a technical difficulty for New York Minute there. Wait, yeah, it's that's in Houston, Texas, too. And they will not get in trouble, at least, by the law. Because again, and while this is violent, it's also going to be protected under the First Amendment. This isn't like a specific, under most legal, requirements, it's not giving a specific actual threat to someone. Now, excuse me, if these individuals that were the mannequins that were hung, if you had specific names of agents or names of people on those, then that could be perceived as a direct threat to those peoples. So I believe then it would actually cross that line legally. But culturally, it's pretty disgusting that they're proudly putting this on their front lawn. And I've seen some abhorrent front lawn displays before, but this one certainly takes the cake. And oddly enough, it looks like they have Santa in the background, like 50 feet beyond it also. They got the display of the hanging with the coffins on the side. It looks like maybe the fourth mannequin on the ground is someone who's supposedly playing dead. And went pretty about like 850,000 views and 9.9 thousand likes. It just kind of further illuminates or highlights the cultural decay in the United States where, again, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of dark humor. However, this is not for jokes. This is a display. It's not a comedy sketch. It is just a display on their front lawn, I guess, to highlight their disdain towards ICE agents, I guess. And say that they're proud to be from Mexico. And very bizarre. But at least you know a bit more about your neighbor if you're in that neighborhood. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Paul Zazupa. It says, quote, "This needs to be criminalized. Free speech doesn't mean freedom from legal consequences. This exhibit will incite violence. It needs to be legally taken down immediately, and people who put it up need to be prosecuted." He had 306 likes. What was he ratioed? Sanity First says, "Did you say the same when this happened?" Looks like an old picture of someone who did the news. Yeah. What is Barack Obama in that mannequin instance? They got 8 likes, which in the rare instances where you actually do see those types of disgusting displays with people who are libertarian or on the right, they are roasted immediately and condemned. That's something you'll never hear from a mainstream Democrat. They never condemn violence or any of the rhetoric. They lean into it. They love the whole message of punch a Nazi, which I think is one of the contributing factors, culturally speaking, of the decay of the United States and the movement from verbal, just, pontifications and being bombastic to actually physical altercations. You also have Cosmonaut 76 says, "You're wrong. Free speech means freedom from the government intervention or consequences. It does not mean freedom from consequences from their peers. Their neighbors should even the score," getting 19 likes, which, that could be, I guess, a way to kind of not lean into the meme. But yeah, if their neighbors were to do a contrarian display, I don't know, maybe. Kim has a picture of a guy standing around looking confused, and he just puts up displays of monsters, and he cries victim, gain 10 likes. MK simply says based, just a compilation of what he thinks will be the next president. You got Trump now, then you got Vance, you have Charlie Kirk's wife, then Barron Trump, getting 255 likes. Now, Raz96 has a picture of purple people and red people, or more accurately, probably supposed to be red and blue people. And person in the red says, I'm here to bridge the gap, let's talk. And one of the blue people goes up to the line that divides him, shoots him. And one of the red guys goes, they shot him. And then the blue guy goes, but your side needs to turn the temperature down. Getting 202 likes, which, yeah. Nothing more ironic than the party who's poured gasoline on the flames for decades to then themselves say, oh yeah, you need to turn down the rhetoric. You need to turn the temperature down. Etten Wu says, quote, the best part is the Mexican flag. It's a smiley face with the Mexican flag and says, quote, when you have so much patriotism and love for your country that you insist on being sent back there, there is a violation of to live there. Oh yeah, sorry. Can't pronounce things today. If you click that subscribe button, it might help with my speaking ineptitudes. When I first started the show, barely anyone tuned in. Well, maybe family. But as I've slowly got, and I spoke faster than Ben Shapiro and more awkwardly than Joe Biden trying to come upstairs. But as I slowly but surely gain more subscribers, I become slightly better at speaking. Some people might argue it's just a modicum improvement, barely statistically anything at all, though I would argue still technically an improvement. So if you click that button and tell your friends and your enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Your enemies might be so enamored and impressed by your material choice in podcast that they might actually become your friends. Or they hate me so much and they hate you so much for suggesting my content that they then become greater enemies and becomes a physical altercation. So maybe I shouldn't recommend that. Either way, make for a funny story. Now, what I was trying to say was, quote, and then again, this is a smiley face meme with sunglasses and Mexican flag, and it says, quote, when you have so much patriotism and love for your country that you insist being sent back there is a violation of your human rights. Yeah. Got 399 likes. The Immortal has a meme of Trump and goes, I'm pro-oxygen, sweet, beautiful, big oxygen. And the other picture is liberals putting a bag over their head, getting 242 likes. Global Index has a picture of a bathroom sign guy with a hand raised up. It says, raise your hand if you're tired of this shit, getting 171 likes. The Moral has a meme of Trump saying, don't drink your piss. And the other picture is liberals drinking a bottle of yellow water, getting 161 likes. Ryan Vong says, quote, how white leftists see themselves after complaining about white people online, getting 210 likes. It's a white gal having all the hands raised towards her, getting 210 likes again. Nadi says, quote, truth, these liberals are dangerous. You have a liberal with a Molotov cocktail and a red flag saying, destroy America. I won't be part of your system. And Ice Agent comes and goes, okay, buddy, get into the minivan, you go. And he goes, you can't do this to me. I'm an American. Getting 533 likes. Yep. Let's see. You have MK having a picture of the Change My Mind, but with Red Foreman from That 70 Show. It says, dead PDFs don't reoffend, change my mind. Getting 101 likes. And the bottom tag says Aussie stuff for Austinese. The dude says, you're hated, train like it. And his picture of a knife getting 51 likes. A couple people have pictures of the Venn diagram saying WTF. Daily Banter says, is that one of the two guys that attacked Jesse Smollett? It's Paul Revere, but instead he's saying the Mexicans are coming, getting 46 likes. Beach Row says, quote, old enough to remember that empty nooses were prosecuted as hate crimes, getting 331 likes. Yeah. Yeah, that famous NASCAR driver, which somehow NASCAR is still in business. I'm actually impressed that they have been around this long. They're going to turn left really good this year. But in all seriousness, yeah, they had a Bubba who was insistent that, oh yeah, that little piece of rope, little draw pull at the end of the garage, that's a noose. They got the FBI involved in a NASCAR string hanging on a door to confirm that, yeah, it was just a string hanging on the door. It wasn't a noose. Going down more and more. You have alien hybrids, so you can go import third world, become third world, getting 69 likes. Let's see. Mr. Patel, it's not the FBI director. And you have the liberals. I forget the famous comedian, but it's the meme where he's looking at someone who shoots them in the couch. He's labeled liberals, and he shoots someone called anyone not liberal enough. He goes, let's take your guns so things like this happen less, getting 92 likes. You also have Will saying the Democrat Party is a party of weak men, unhappy women, criminal illegal aliens, and gender-confused violent nutjobs, getting 93 likes. Patriot has a picture of Alex Jones, just up as Hitler, getting 152 likes. Spitfire says, quote, we cannot coexist with these animals, getting 102 likes. And again, I don't think this, I really don't think anything legally speaking is going to happen to this lawn display. I mean, maybe they'll be culturally ostracized in terms of the community. So, sorry, Sarah Luann says, quote, what is Santa's role in all of this? Getting 24 likes, and it's a zoomed in picture of the Santa mannequin in the very back of the yard, which, I mean, he's definitely tallying something up on his naughty list because someone's not acting good. And unfortunately, I just think these displays will increase in frequency as we have more and more cultural decay in the United States, but maybe I'm wrong, hopefully. Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, your Representative Thomas Massie roasting Representative Clay Higgins over the Epstein petition that Thomas Massie has after, again, Republicans released it, but they didn't. Now, Thomas Massie is responding to Representative Clay Higgins, who said, quote, Thomas Massie is 100% wrong on so many levels with his political maneuver Epstein petition. The Oversight Committee is conducting an official investigation into Epstein-related matters, and we're following all established rules of the criminal justice procedure. It's a shame what my friend Thomas Massie has done, attempting to injure the Republican Party and ignore privacy rights of hundreds of innocent Americans who have their life turned upside down because of his weird petition. Meanwhile, the Oversight Committee will continue to conduct actual deep investigation into all things Epstein-related. And everyone's rights under the American law will be protected. If someone becomes subject to the warrant or subpoena, that's when their identity will become public. That's how legitimate investigations operate. Getting 2.5 million views and 4.5 thousand likes. Which, was he ratioed? Yeah. One of the first ones, again, this is ratioing not Thomas Massie, but Representative Clay Higgins. One of the first ones is classic liberal caucus saying, quote, just answer one question for us. And it's the goose meme. It says, why would releasing the Epstein list injure the Republican Party? Why? Getting 6.7 thousand likes. Yeah, Tim the Libertarian. Very accurate name. Give him a follow. And it says, why don't you trust the government? And it says, me. It's Representative Thomas Massie holding up the look like the completely redacted Epstein files, because look at that. Like every word is censored, getting 54 likes. Professor Part C says Thomas Massie, President 2028, getting 370 likes, which, I mean, he is one of like 4 politicians I actually believe in and actually think is worth a damn. Granted, the bar is pretty damn low for politicians, but yeah, he had an exceptional interview, especially on Theo Von, where you can really learn more about Thomas Massie's backstory, and I think it is a good representation of who he is. You also have Natalie Daniel Sheen saying, quote, you guys have had it years ago. We are done with your excuses. Getting 1.5 thousand likes. Yeah, exactly. Brown-eyed Susan says, quote, never forget that 211 House Republicans voted to protect PDFs, getting 2,000 likes. Chris Kalamico has Morgan Freeman with a meme that says he's in the files too, getting 132 likes. Let's see. Amber speaks up, says, quote, calling it a weird petition tells us everything. Survivors have been waiting decades for the truth. They backed this petition. Protecting reputations is not protecting rights, it's protecting power. Thomas Massie might be the only one of you left with a spine. Release the files, getting 5.6 thousand likes. Let's see. Brando says, you are wrong. And there's a Simpsons meme. It's been said, no, not one single person who paid to abuse children on Epstein's Island have been arrested, getting 272 likes. Dr. Simon Goddick says, quote, you claim petitions for transparency injure the Republican Party. Wrong. What injures the party is protecting PDFs instead of outing them, getting 894 likes. Yep. Oh, I do have a contrarian statement. David Spear has a picture of a clown, says I stand with Massie, getting 17 likes. David Goliath says, shut up, bitch. And it's Ricky Gervais, and he's standing in front of Epstein's Island, says, I know he's your friend, but I don't care, getting 45 likes. Now, going up to Thomas Massie, he responded to Clay Higgins saying, quote, with all due respect to my friend Clay Higgins, Americans are wary. Billionaires and politicians, politically connected men to whom Epstein trafficked women have been given a pass. The files DOJ released to oversight are redacted and incomplete. This became obvious when Director Patel testified. He got 1.2 million views and 3.4 thousand likes. And let's see, Cobalt of Azurion says, quote, hey, Representative Clay Higgins, is this you? This is a tweet, a retweet from someone by the hashtag of tracking APAC. It says Clay Higgins got $19,350 from APAC, getting 435 likes. Stephen Kerrigan says, we stand with Representative Massie, getting 159 likes. Let's see. Lancer has a screenshot from the chaser.com. It says, Releasing the Epstein files causes autism, claims Trump, getting 242 likes, which that might be one way to get people to demand release the damn files. Let's see here. We have Ralph Capiano saying, quote, well, it's JFK, says, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask for the release of Epstein files, getting 202 likes. We have, let's see here. Massie Meme says, thank you for fighting the Epstein victims. There's Massie trying to cut off a tumor from someone that's labeled Epstein files, getting 53 likes. Runt Talk says, Thomas, we're still waiting for you to read the list of names. It's been 3 weeks since your claim. I'm starting to think it was all just theater, getting 91 likes. Elon Musk says we must ask ourselves, as Massie as well as Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's a meme that says, why do they insist on protecting the PDFs, getting 65 likes? Let's see. The Golden Time says, how come you've been silent about Google admitting to recently? I'm surprised Mr. Free Speech himself didn't say anything about it. Shame. Now, he claims there's a meme of, well, it's words in front of Thomas, it's a meme, sorry. Says, no Republican has done more to boost the leftist morale than Representative Thomas Massie votes him out, getting 86 likes. A couple of people with the same memes. Kyle Dank Liberty Memes says, there's only one I don't trust, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it's a little meme, it's a little cartoon that says, America First Politicians Annual Meeting, and inside is just Thomas Massie getting 31 likes. And yeah, I think, there's a lot of people saying, having memes of Thomas Massie versus the Deep State, comparing him to also Mel Gibson and the Patriot. I also have Jessica saying, quote, interesting how he accuses you of attempting to injure the Republican Party. No one has ever explained how a full and transparent release of the Epstein files would injure the party or the president, yet they keep saying it. It raises more questions, to say the least. Game 439 likes. Yep. I think probably one of the theories I believe the most is that if they were to release all the files, the CIA and the deep state would lose all the leverage they have on all the dirt that they have on people and leaders and politicians and powerful people across the globe. Or maybe they're just directly blackmailing the people in charge in the United States so they don't do it. If I were a gambling man, not that I am much of one, I would guess those are probably two of the most likely reasons as to why we haven't seen the list and why I doubt we'll ever actually see it. But let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have icy cooling fan being recalled because it might, catch on fire, which also kind of ironic. This is brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, though pretty low bar. Which, here you can see the fan right there, and they say, quote, IcyBreeze cooling recalls portable misting fans due to a fire hazard, which, it looks like a jar. And granted, it's plastic as a normal person would pronounce it, with a little fan bolted on top. And note that, quote, the misting fan can overheat while charging and ignite, posing a fire hazard, which, again, that is the ultimate form of irony. I mean, again, if it catches on fire, again, the fan is on top of the jar of liquid. I mean, presumably, it wouldn't melt perfectly, but if it just fell down onto the water and self-extinguished, it wouldn't happen, but it almost seems like an ideal thing to catch fire would be a giant water spraying apparatus. But I partially jest. Now, they say, quote, the recall involves IcyBreeze Buddy, a portable battery-powered misting fan. Portable fan is equipped with a 1.5-liter water tank for continuous misting and allows consumers to choose between AC power or 10,000 milliamp rechargeable lithium-ion battery hour for up to 7 hours of outdoor use. The misting fan displays IcyBreeze on both the fan and the base of the product and comes in blue, gray, and seafoam. Now, they note that, quote, the consumer should immediately stop using the recalled IcyBreeze Buddy portable misting fan. Go to the website for instructions on how to participate in the recall and obtain up to $150 credit for use of one of the solar brands. Consumers should submit a form online, include a photograph showing that the power cord has been cut. They should immediately dispose of the misting fan in accordance to local and state regulations, which, aka, be careful where you throw your lithium-ion batteries away because they are quite volatile. So, always got to make sure you're actually not just throwing those in the trash, or if you're across the pond in Europe, the dustbin. Now, good and bad news. They got ahead of the situation. No one died, but the firm has received 7 reports of misting fans overheating while charging, and 2 of those reports resulted in fires. Now, again, looks like there's no huge loss of life or property damage as well, so silver lining there. What blows my mind is the price point. These are sold online at IcyBreeze.com and Amazon between November 2023 and August 2024 for about $150, which Usually it's $150 for about, I was about to say 18 cents. For $1, you can get one of those nice fans from Chinatown. Just wave it on yourself. This is, geez, $150. But yeah, in all seriousness, every time you have any of these volatile components, especially lithium-ion batteries, and you have all electricity, you gotta make sure you're building it actually properly, so it doesn't actually, burst into flames. So, gotta say, IcyBreeze, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how to make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.